Welcome, everybody. Today is August 1st. You are here with Robin at In the Family Way Coaching, and I know why you're here today. We are here for our daily Bible reading. We are going through the Day by Day Kids Bible, written by Karen Henley. If you are just finding this event, I want you to not be discouraged by the fact that this says it's a kids' Bible. This Bible is just a simply written, condensed version of the entire Bible, and it tells us the entire big story from Genesis to Revelation in chronological order. And then we talk about a daily application on how each day's reading can be applied in our lives every day. And this has been a most incredible journey. Did you ever think that you would know the whole story of God's big picture? We are reading through the entire Bible this year, and we're having understanding of the storyline of everything that happened. I am just loving this version of the Bible, and I hope that you have been as excited to hear each day's reading as I am about reading it with you as well. If you are following along on that commitment calendar, today is August 1st. Get your calendar out. Get your sticker ready, or however you're ready to mark that off, because you are about to hear the Bible today, too. You might notice I have written on here on this date. Guess what that is? NT. That's our start date for the New Testament. We have only 9 more days of the Old Testament or the Old Covenant before we begin God's new covenant. Can you believe that? We are almost completely finished with the entire Old Testament. Oh, congratulations, everybody. I am so proud of you for your motivation and your dedication to following along with me every day this year. And I am just so excited. I didn't know when I started this event how many people would be following along, but God has just put people in my path all the time. And I'm so excited and thrilled that you guys are following along. So I want to say hello to Mo. I haven't said hello to you in a while, Mo, but thank you so much for following along with this event with me. Thank you and hello to Maurice. Hey, Maurice! Yay! We had such an awesome day chatting yesterday, and I thought about you today while I was at work as well. Lex, it was so awesome to see you at work. Thank you for being here with me, whatever day you're able to catch up and listen or watch. And let's see who else. Maria and Cleo. Thank you for being here, everybody. We have an Alex out there, if I remember correctly. And I have not seen Jeannie in a long time. So, Jeannie, if you're out there, hello. I hope you've been doing well this year and that you're still enjoying the event. And I always say hi to you kids. But hello to Pearl and Forrest and Jedi and Diamond. And a very happy birthday to you, Julie. I did not know it was your birthday today. I know you're not going to see this on August 1st because I'm not getting it out until August 2nd, but but happy birthday. I am just so thrilled that I didn't even know it was your birthday. But happy birthday to you on August 1st. So, thank you for joining us, everybody. We are going to finish up the book of Esther today. And it is such an awesome story. Man, I love the Book of Esther. I have said that so many times. Oh, the Book of Esther is so awesome. We get to see so many amazing things with God's perfect timing and his taking care of his people. Isn't that wonderful to see God's involvement? Nothing happened by chance. God was with them every step of the way. God cares about his people. He cares about you. He cares about me. And if you ever have any doubts, just read the book of Esther because God's love and care for his people, even though they are not in Jerusalem. It shows that it doesn't matter where we are. God knows us. He sees us. He is the God who sees us, and He loves us, and He takes care of us everywhere, no matter where we are. So let's finish up the book of Esther today. We are going to be reading chapter 7, 8, 9, and I think that's how many chapters there are, 7, 8, and 9. All right, chapter 7 is entitled, Who Dares to Do This? As we left off yesterday, Haman was being escorted by the servants who were taking him to the dinner that Esther had prepared for him and the king. Now Haman and the king went to Esther's dinner, and they drank wine. And then the king asked Esther, "What would you want? I will give you whatever you ask for. You can even have half of my kingdom if you want." Then Queen Esther said, "Please, save my life. That's what I want. Save my people. If you don't, we will all be killed." "Who is this enemy?" asked the king. "Where is the man who would dare to do this?" "The enemy is this hateful man, Haman," said Esther. I almost feel like we should do a sound effect of dun dun dun. I could be a little silly sometimes. Haman was very scared. The king got up, and he was very angry. He went out to the garden, and Haman saw that the king had made up his mind. The king knew what he would do to Haman. So Haman stayed with Queen Esther, and he begged her to save his life. The king came back into the room, and there he saw Haman holding on to Esther's chair, begging her. "Will you even try to touch my queen?" cried the king. Then the servants pulled Haman away. One servant said, "A tall hanging pole stands next to Haman's house. He was going to hang Mordecai on it, but Mordecai is the one who saved your life." "Hang Haman on that pole," said the king. So they hung Haman on the pole that he had made for Mordecai. Then the king stopped being angry. Chapter 8. Fast horses carry the news. That day the king gave Haman's house to Esther. He gave Haman's land to Esther too. Then Esther told the king that Mordecai was her cousin. So the king called for Mordecai to come see him. Now the king had taken his ring back from Haman, so he gave his ring to Mordecai, and then Esther put Mordecai in charge of Haman's land. Esther bowed at the king's feet, and she cried. She asked him to stop the killing of the Jews. The king held out his golden rod, his scepter. Esther stood up in front of the king. "Please, write another law," she said. "Write a law that will stop the killing. How can I stand to see my people killed?" "No law can be changed," said the king, "and that's because it was written in my name. It was sealed with my ring. But you can write another law in my name, and write it to help the Jews, and do whatever seems best to you." So Mordecai wrote a new law. It was written in every language. Mordecai wrote the law in the king's name. He sealed it with the king's ring. The law said that the Jews could assemble and fight back. They could kill anyone who tried to kill them. So Mordecai sent men throughout the country. They rode the king's fast horses. These were horses that were specially bred to be very fast. And they raced out of the city to tell everyone the new law. Then Mordecai left the king. The king had given him blue and white clothes to wear. Mordecai also wore a big crown and a purple robe. Then the city had a holiday. It was a happy, joyful time for the Jews. And all the Jews who heard the king's new law were glad. So there were parties and dinners everywhere. In fact, lots of other people became Jews. And that's because they were afraid of the Jews. Chapter 9, the holiday. Now the day came to kill the Jews. And that's what the first law said. It was the day that the enemies of the Jews had wanted. But the second law said the Jews could fight back. So the Jews got together in every city, and they got ready to fight the people who were going to fight them. Nobody could win against the Jews. All the other people were scared of them. Even the leaders helped the Jews. They were afraid of Mordecai. Mordecai was now an important man at the palace, and people everywhere had heard about him. He got more and more power. So the Jews killed their enemies that day. The king told Queen Esther about it. "Now what would you like to have?" the king asked her. "I'll give you whatever you want." "Let the Jews keep fighting their enemies tomorrow," said Esther, "and get rid of Haman's sons." So the king gave the order, and the Jews fought against their enemies the next day. And Haman's sons were killed too. The day after that, the Jews rested. It was a day of big, happy dinners. And that is why Jews make that day a holiday every year. It's a day when they give presents to each other. And they also give presents of food to poor people. So Mordecai wrote down all of this, and he sent letters to all the Jews in the land. And the letter told them to have a 2-day holiday. He told them to have big dinners. He told them to be happy, and he told them to give gifts to each other, and he told them to give gifts to the poor people too. They called these days Purim. And that's because Haman and his friends had thrown the pure. It was like throwing dice. They called it lots. In Hebrew, the Hebrew name for lots is pur, the Purim. And that's how they chose the day when they would kill the Jews, when they threw the dice, those lots, the Purim. So every family of Jews should remember this holiday every year. Queen Esther and Mordecai wrote a letter, and it said that Purim would be a holiday. Mordecai sent the letter to all the Jews in the land, and it cheered up all the Jews. Now the king made his people pay taxes, and his kingdom was very big and great, and the king was the boss. But Mordecai was the next man in charge. The Jews liked Mordecai. He worked to treat them right, and he spoke up for them. And that is the end of our reading today. And that is the end of our story of the Book of Esther. Wow, isn't that great? The battle once again belonged to our Lord. He alone is responsible for all the good things that happened. He placed Esther into just such a place as for her to be able to have influence. He caused Mordecai to overhear the plot against the king so that Mordecai could have the opportunity to do good and tell Esther about the plot and so that she was able to save the king by reporting it. And she gave Mordecai the credit for it instead of keeping the credit for herself. we see that both Mordecai and Esther were honorable and they were obedient and they were looking to honor the king and to obey. And we can see that Mordecai, above all, he was looking out for the people. And I love how the very ending of the letter states that, or of the book states that he worked to treat the people right. He spoke up for them. And that is our daily application today. When we are placed in positions where we have the ability that we can make a positive impact in anybody's life, we should take that opportunity. Remember Mordecai, remember Esther. They didn't just work for themselves, they were not selfish. It can be very common today to only look out for oneself. But Mordecai and Esther, they looked out for the people. And even when Mordecai declared the holiday, that they should remember this time, because this was an amazing thing that God did to take care of his people. And we read the other day, yesterday, that Mordecai had faith that God would indeed save the people, even if Esther would not be brave and approach the king and ask him to help them in the matter. God, he had faith that God would still take care of them. God honored that faith, and he gave favor to Esther from the king. And the king was pleased to see her. But the king was pleased to see her because she always was obedient and respectful, and that she was doing what she was supposed to be doing. And so it really it gained she gained a lot of favor everywhere she went. We read she gained favor with the people who were taking care of her and looking after her. She always did what she was advised to do. She obeyed Mordecai, and things went well for her. It's just like when we read in for the Ten Commandments, where the one commandment says that children obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. And God promises that if we do obey our parents in the Lord, that He will bless us with a long life, that things will go well for us. It's the only commandment out of the 10 that comes with a promise of good things to come by doing so. Isn't that amazing? So, having respect for our parents and obeying those in charge is something that God looks very favorably upon. He desires obedience, and he desires us to be merciful to one another. And so Mordecai was exemplifying these traits, and he declared that when they had the holiday, that they were to give gifts to not just each other, but that they were to look out for those who had very little. And that's a very honorable thing to be doing. And it's something that God has always told us to do. He says to uphold the widow, to look out for people who are orphans and have no parents. Mordecai looked out for Esther, and he raised her as his own daughter. So Mordecai had a heart for God, and God knew that. And so God blessed him, and God took care of all of the people through Mordecai and through Esther. So she had good raising with Mordecai, and she caused a great big impact. And we see that, and so did Mordecai. So our daily application is to work hard to treat others well, just like God wants us to do, to treat others well, to treat them how we want to be treated ourselves, to look out for people and speak up for them if they need us to be speaking up for them. That is what God also told the people when he says to uphold the those who are oppressed. Make sure that people are being judged fairly, and that way people are not taken advantage of. So I hope that you feel that God has lit your light with this wonderful story of Esther and all of the examples that we see on how to live well through Mordecai and through Esther. And if you have, then I ask that you would consider clicking that follow and subscribe button in addition to that light button so that we can draw people to God's event and spread the word about reading His Word so we can learn about these beautiful examples of righteous living and learn how to live these ways in our life as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to be finishing soon the Old Testament and to be starting the New Testament on August 10th. And I'm looking forward to having each and every one of you following along for the rest of the year. So have a fantastic rest of your day, whatever day you get around to hearing this August 1st reading. And I will be here for everyone again tomorrow.